Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, friends. Before we start our interview, I would like to introduce our group. I'm Febby marischa, and my friends is Saddrina, tanti, kartika, and Laeladah Fitriana. Here we will discuss tips and tricks for effective English communication in the classroom based on experience of our English teacher. Yeah, today we invite a resource person who has been very helpful for students, namely Mr. Ade Saputra, SPD MPD, as an English teacher at H Senior High School, Jambi City currently. First of all, sir, thank you for taking the time to be our research person a research person for today's interview. Maybe now we will start our interview, sir.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. English is not our first language, so I think it's very difficult to teach someone English, which is a foreign language for us. And then, what inspired you to become an English teacher?
Oh, inspiring to be English teacher.
Yes.
Inspired. Have story. Back to the story back then. Actually, I'm not planning to be a teacher at all. Back when finished high school, when I in enrolling universities, um, as SBMPTN sekarang ya. I I'm not choosing education as a major at first. I want to be an accountant, so I want to choose the first one accountancy, second one math, and I have the last options. And the committee say that the first time I choose English, linguistic literature, not educational majors. So the committee suggested you have to choose the education one because when you don't choose the education, it's hard for you if you want to teach later. So at that day, when you choose educational major, you will have two diploma, I guess. One for ijazah, second one akta 4. For now, akta 4 has been deleted, so that's why you have to choose PPG after you finish the S1 degree. So at that time, I did the suggestion from the committee, and turns out I just need to pass on the third choice in UNB, State University of Padang at that time. So later on in the 4 years, I finished the undergraduate program. I'm not directly choosing, teaching to the school or teaching any other places, but turned out I enrolled to a bank. I work in the RE for a couple of years. And then I remember when I graduated, my lecturer said to me that if you want to back to the, yeah, sorry, you have 5 years expiration date not becoming or having a career in education. So back in 2018, so that's the last uh, 5 years after the graduation. Uh, this is the final chance if I would like to back to the teaching or not, or just continue career in the RE or being accountant or something like that. So there is a Japan test, and I tried, then I joined, and next thing you know, I'm here in Spandau. That's it, the
Ah,
story. So moral story, so it's not really a dream job for me actually. So looks like the destiny, the fate lead me here, and that's it.
okay, sir. It's interesting story for why you becoming teacher right now.
Uh-huh.
Okay, during your time as an English teacher, what are the main challenges you often face in the class? And what do you find the most difficult part of teaching in English in the classroom?
Oh, speaking of challenges, especially for today's currently issue in Indonesia. it's
Yeah.
hard for us to, using full English since the beginning of the lesson, since our students are not, get familiar with using English. There are lack of English exposures. So we have a teacher cannot 100% using the target language. We have to adjust ourselves. We have to, be adaptive looking at our students. If you seems like I'm not blaming the government for this, because in the previous curriculum, let's say in K-13, um, elementary student doesn't have to don't have to learn English in the very beginning level. They start learning English in the middle school. So it is very hard to, to adjust when they just come to the senior high school, and then you just the curriculum demands it's really hard in the senior high school, and they have so basic, it's not basic, even the below requirement as a student in a senior high school. Plus, there is a COVID 2 years without studying. Yet they argue that they studied, even though they say that they study at home. In the reality, they're not.
Mm.
So this kind of challenging make me realize that don't set your bar or the high expectation in your students. That you're just being mindful, realizing that your students is not really probably new English in the senior high school since they skipped middle school in COVID, COVID-19. So it's quite challenging for me to reintroduce in the very basic level of English in the senior high school. I think, not for me also. Most of teachers, um, in teaching any subjects have similar issues, especially for after COVID periods. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, I think is COVID-19 is the common issue that make teacher more challenges to teach in classroom, right, sir?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The vocabulary issue.
Oh, okay. And then we have many questions for you, sir, because we still don't know how. We still curious how to become an English teacher to build communication English in classroom. So we want to know about your tips and trick from you. So next question is about how do you encourage students who show little interesting in learning English, because it's focused on what strategy can you choose to build up their interesting and excited to learn English in the classroom?
Yeah, the things that been doing right now in teaching English and make sure that um the students think that English is not something scary or something really challenging. So I have to divide the task become doable chunks. So
Yeah,
in curriculum Merdeka, that has the teacher has liberty to change or to adjust to modify. So from the curriculum, that doesn't have to be the same things from the curriculum. Is as long as your students' ability. So the things that I did, so I tried to adjust the level to the students, even though the curriculum demand is really high. As
yes,
long as the first thing that I make sure to the students that when I come to the class, they think that it's not a really difficult subject. Even though I just ask the students doing the task only 5 to 10 questions each meeting, and it's done at the time, no extra homework after the class. So that's it. So they would think that English just okay, I have learned English today, so let let's say in 1 or 1.5 hour, and that's done. There's no extra homework for the students. I guess that's the things that I have to make sure to the students that um learning English is not something you have to memorize things,
yeah.
vocabulary or something like that. I will not to burden my students something like that.
And then maybe the other option, you give the something positive feedback from for your students, sir.
Oh yeah, giving positive feedback. Yeah, sure, I have done that, especially when they do it very well job in doing the task. And sometimes when we have a little project about video project that I've done recently, so we play their videos there in the classroom. So we have to do something discussion about the video, sometimes it's a little bit fun. So make sure that the task they're doing something that enjoyable, even though it's they have to learn beneath of it, something the beauty of teaching it.
Yeah. I think it is some common issue that we can find in the classroom, sir. So I think it's a really good option for us to remind to make a positive feedback, and of course do not burden the student, right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. The next question is really common issue in class because it contains their different abilities in skill. So how do you help students who are strong in speaking but weak in writing, or the other way around? Maybe they're strong in reading or listening, but the other side they're weak in writing and they're weak in speaking and writing.
Okay. I'm not being judgmental about students good at one skill or another. So as far as I'm concerned that they are, high motivated in learnings, they tend to, active in many kind of classroom activities. When it's discussion, when it's come to the high motivated student, they would speak even though um they produce some really far from the target what we are demanded. The first thing that we have to concern that they're trying to produce the language itself. That's the first thing we have to appreciate for the students. Sometimes, in a high school, when you produce some foreign language, you have to think twice because when you produce this uh, incorrectly, your friends will make laugh or something joke
Yeah.
about it. There's a issue that we have to encounter during the, let's say, speaking activities. But um, in the good classes, when there's something make mistake, yeah, they will make a joke, but it's not something that become discouraged for the next meeting. It's something that is a part of learning. It's okay to make mistake. It's okay to you know have a you have to make sure that you you create a space to grow for the students, not only one of skills or no. So as long as you expose English to the students, uh hopefully they get used to and gradually it become uh subconscious in their minds. So the first thing you have to do is expose your students to the English as much as you can, and pay attention or be mindful to your students' ability.
This question is related to manage classroom management, sir.
Yeah, something something related to the classroom management.
Okay, the next question is, in your point of view, what is the most effective method to improve student English skill? In this skill,
Okay, the the most effective is a
yes, the most
strong
effective.
word. Uh, when learning English, there's no, I don't think that's one method is better than the other. It depends on what's your goal. If your goal, let's say in doing listening, or you have to expose yourself to the listening itself. It also happen in reading or writing. When you want to be a good writer, you have to read more. You have to read multiple type of texts. It's also depends on what your goals. You cannot be judged on one method is better than the other. It's sometimes it doesn't make sense. So we as a teacher should think about what is the goal of the lesson itself. So what is the best way to do that? Not in the very you do the same method all semester or all years with the same method. It's quite impossible, I think, when you just believe that one method is really powerful than the other. But the thing that I believe in learning English is very uh, a long way to go. It cannot be done even only in 90 minutes or yeah or something like in a week. We, the thing that you have to make sure for your students to get used to the English. As a when you learn L1 or first language, your mom or your parents doesn't have to make you like a learning in your like a formal situation. They just expose you. Your parents only expose you to the target language, let's say Bahasa Melayu or Jambi or Bahasa Indonesia. They just keep talking and talking, and
Mm.
eventually you could produce it. So that's something happened to the second language or foreign language. As long as you get exposed really well, uh, it's something unconscious. So just like what is that? Chomsky, every human has a language acquisition device or LAD. So this thing you have to believe that in a part of learning English, exposure is the main factor, I guess. In any exposure, it could be spoken, unwritten, depends on your goal.
Thank you, sir. Then next is about um how would you describe effective communication in the classroom during lesson?
Okay, when we talk about communication during in the classroom activity,
Yes.
uh, just like I told you earlier, we couldn't or make our students or we as a teacher speak 100% English or target language. If your students don't know at all what you're saying, it's kind of uh fail in communication. The things that we have to remind that our students' ability, our students' level. So we have to be mindful and be adaptive and have to adjust ourselves to the students as long as it's intelligible, you could communicate and your students could understand the other way around. Your students, even though they're producing in English, is not really what you have what you hopeful. As long as it's intelligible, you understand, it doesn't matter. Even though
Oh,
it's a very beginning level, even though in writings,
yeah.
um let's say they don't really good or have some mistake in spelling or subject verb agreement, as long as the message is sent or delivered, it's okay. That's the term of communication. You don't have to be you know uh perfect in grammar. The thing is in communication is the message or idea is transferred from one to another.
Wow. I think it's a really tip. It's really good or yeah great tips for us too because in communication skill our as a student also scary to say something or convey something because we scary to the speaker that don't know what we speak, sir.
Yep, sure.
Okay. Uh,
All right, so moving on. You mentioned that you're using video in class. So, how important that using media and technology to increasing and teaching in class? How usually you integrate them into your lesson?
Yeah, it is kind of inevitable using technology nowadays. Uh, you smartphone is not something luxury anymore. So as a teacher, our students, also, we have to make assumption they have bigger screen. So when they have smaller screen on their hand, you have to provide a bigger screen. How do you do that? It's using projector, and make sure that you prepare in lesson, make a great presentation, a slide or PowerPoints that really attract their attentions, or using pictures that relate to them, or maybe something that really relate to them. You could take picture of one of their activities, their real pictures. It's really attract students' attention, instead of a random picture that you take from the internet.
All right. What about the curriculum in Merdeka? How do you use the Merdeka curriculum to adjust English lesson to fit the student needs? Especially, that every and most of every year, the government always change the curriculum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in curriculum Merdeka, especially in a high school, they expected it. They expect they are expect teacher by the end of the senior high school, students are in the level, I don't know, B1 or B2, I forgot. I think it's really high demanded target for the teachers, especially probably in some areas. When we talk about let's say, I also I already told you earlier, learning language, this cannot be done just only 90 minutes in a week, or something like that. It should be uh learning or doing it simultaneously with your activities. You cannot be just in a formal way sit and listen to the teacher doing tasks or something like that. Learning languages, something that you do every day. So in terms of curriculum Merdeka itself, the government have make some liberty for the teachers to adjust to the students, but in terms of um reaching the government expectation, I don't think that most of the teacher achieve that target, since it's really set really high bar for the teachers to achieve that. So it depends on the situation at school itself. It doesn't really matter when you are in the let's say in the 12th grade or 11th grade, but your student have a really don't understand about a simple one, the present tense, for example. You have to recall it, even though in the curriculum they have to be mastered it, let's say in a middle school, but your students do not understand that you cannot go to the next chapter or to the next lesson if they don't understand it really well. That's the point about the curriculum Merdeka. Everyone has a pace of learning. Don't have to be the same. We as a teacher have also, even though they are in the same class, eh, you cannot set the same bar, the same expectation for all the students. Every individual of student has a different level of, let's say, proficiency. So we have to be mindful, mindful, to be adaptive to the student itself. That's the beauty of curriculum Merdeka. That's the teacher could be, has a liberty to
Mm.
do with the students, not to just um, achieve the government's target. That's it.
And then for the last question, Could you share your thought and your experience for us as for future teacher?
Okay. Um, I don't have so much experience that I would like to share. I joined to, let's say, start teaching in 2019. So it's COVID, basically not learning as well for 2 years, 2019, 2020. Let's say start in 2021. Yeah, it's been for 3 years. What I've been doing right now, especially being a teacher, you have to be do not just targeting from the curriculum or from your school, or your student have to be able to do this. No, you have to be mindful, understand your students. You have to realize that every student has different potential, different interests. So not every student in your class, have an interest in your material. But the things that you have to appreciate that they stay in your class. It's yeah, that's the first thing that I appreciate, even though they're doing nothing. Let's say sleep, I just let them do it as long as you are in this class. And I really appreciate it. You cannot be so harsh or make some really strict teacher. You have to do this. Be like military teacher. No. This day it's really dangerous, I guess, for teachers. You do hard things, it's gonna be come to your back. Their parents or something like that. The things that, especially, I don't know, for teaching senior high school, I guess it's okay because since they are a quiet young adult, you have to realizing that the responsibility,
Mm.
the things that I always say to the students, you are a young adult, you have a responsibility, then every action has consequences. So I'm not telling you over and over or yelling at you to do something. It's up to you. You're the one who be a student, not me who're going to school. So it's up to you. But the things is, I don't know if in maybe in elementary or middle school, that's a different students, I guess. Probably they need to be warned or need to be told over and over. So it depends on where are you gonna end up later, whether in elementary or middle school. But in high school, it's quite not really challenging for me since they are quite adult. So just play the responsibility card to them. Just remind that. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes.
It
Okay.
will be useful tips and ideas. It will be helpful for student and also the teacher. All right, to
Okay.
wrap up things up that we have learned from Sir Ade in the communication English class, needs method that keeps students interested and meet their needs. Your experience also reminds us to do that teaching it's not just about grammar or vocabulary, it's also helping students to connect with the language and grow in confidence. Okay, to everyone who listening to this, thank you so much for joining us in talking with teacher tips and tricks for effective English communication in the classroom. And I hope this video will helpful. And see you next time.
Okay. Yeah. See you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Can
Yep.
we get some
Take a
photos?
picture.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Uh, dan 1, 2, 3. Oke.